Chris. Are you shooting?
What, is automatic search as soon as it goes on?
No, push your red
Yeah,
button.
on that trigger.
Okay.
What I was doing was looking for the pause so that I could set it up while it was on.
Okay. And you got the automatic focus on, I
Yeah,
think,
I've got
too.
everything on. The only thing I don't have is, everything's here. You don't have a fade or backlight. Okay, so that's all. So that's
Yeah, I think, yeah.
now we're...
Good afternoon. My name is Libby Maynard. I'm the Executive Director of the Humboldt Arts Council. And welcome to Healing the Wounds, Vietnam Veterans in the Arts. This show is very special for us and means a great deal to us. It's been real exciting getting it here, putting it on, and I think that it's going to be a very successful show in many more ways than art exhibits normally are, because it really touches the hearts of people. The Arts Council is very proud to be able to offer this show. What I'd like to introduce some of the people, excuse me, in this community who've been so supportive. We have many sponsors who've underwritten the program and the show, people who've donated food, money, technical expertise, equipment, and we have a long list of them on this pillar by the sign-in book. So please take a second to look at that and thank the people who have donated for this show and help bring it here. At this time, I'd like to introduce some other very special people in the community who have been very supportive of the show. And we have two county supervisors here today. I'd like to introduce first Wesley Chesbrough.
On behalf of the Board of Supervisors and the people of the county, I'd like to congratulate and thank, first of all, the Redwoods Vet Center and the Humboldt Arts Council, and of course all the community members that put all the effort into making this show a reality, but most especially the artists, the veterans themselves, for whom it's obvious these are very strong personal cathartic statements that I think will go a long ways towards not only helping them to heal the wounds and move forward, but also to help the entire community and the people who are not Vietnam veterans to understand. And I think those two things are interlinked. I think the more the rest of the world understands this process, the faster the process will move along and the more meaningful it will be for the Vietnam veterans themselves. So it's a terrific show, and I'm overwhelmed by it. I intend to come back several times so I can spend some more time absorbing it. I also wanted to introduce Bonnie Neely, who's 4th District Supervisor and the Vice Chair of the Board, who is the Board's liaison to the Humboldt Arts Council and the arts community, to make a presentation. Right?
I'm happy to be here today on behalf of the Board and the Humboldt Arts Council to thank all of you that made this art show possible. The Board of Supervisors did proclaim the month of February as the Humboldt County Vietnam Vets and the Arts Month in Humboldt County. And I think it's a nice resolution. I'd like to read it to you. Whereas Healing the Wounds, Vietnam Vets and the Arts, the California Vietnam Vets Art Show will visit Humboldt County from February 4th through March 3rd through the sponsorship of the Humboldt Arts Council and the Redwood Vet Center. And whereas Healing the Wounds is an all-media artwork presentation of the impressions of Humboldt County and the California Vietnam vets concerning their wartime experiences. And whereas the Vietnam conflict has had a lasting impact on American and Humboldt County citizens, which these artist representations can help to resolve for veterans of the community in general. And whereas the contributions of Vietnam veterans as resources to society are expressed in a multitude of occupations, including artistic talents in Humboldt County. Now therefore be it resolved that the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaims the month of February 1989 as Humboldt County Vietnam Veterans and the Arts Month in honor of these multiple talents and contributions by Vietnam veterans in the Humboldt County community. And I'd like to present this resolution to Leslie Freeland, who is the curator with the exhibit. Leslie?
Can I get you guys to move up maybe a little bit closer? First of all, I want to thank the Arts Council and the Vet Center for their cooperation, not only with me but with each other in making this happen. It's the expression "strange bedfellows" comes to mind, but in this case, to have the veteran community and the arts community both embrace a project like this so completely and come together, enlist the help of the entire community to make it happen is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I hope that for those of you in the audience here today, seeing the show and watching the expressions, looking at the expressions of people who have had the courage to share these with you, and knowing that it is a risk to do this kind of thing, to bare your heart and to take the risk that people will, after so many years of what seems like not paying attention, to stop and pay attention to what they have to say. I hope that you all realize, everyone realizes, that that is what healing is all about. It's stopping and paying attention and being open enough to hear what the other person has to say, to be open enough to feel as much as we can what another person is feeling. And in doing that, of course, the healing takes place. And there is a difference between a healing and a cure. There was an article in one of the local papers in which Steve Miller says, well, I hope that the healing isn't complete, because if it is complete, then people will forget. And I don't think that people will forget. I think that a healing is not the same as a cure, and that a healing is an ongoing process that continues throughout a lifetime. So hopefully this process will continue, and that what this effort between the arts community and the veterans community and the rest of the community shows is that the creative process is a very, very powerful tool for healing, and it is accessible to everyone. If you look around the show, you will see works of art that have been done by people who are professional artists and who have done this for many, many years. And then you'll see work of people that have not done it for a long time, or only do it occasionally. In some of the cases here, we have work that was in mothballs for 10 or 15 or 20 years that people took out and said, yes, I want to contribute this. So to everyone, veterans and civilians alike, this is something else too. It's an opportunity to see the creative process at work, and to hopefully kindle or rekindle those experiences that maybe you have put away. Maybe it's time to dig out the journals, dig out the sketch pad, or continue on an idea that you've started. And to also remember that it is through these images and stories that we will define ourselves, and we will define who we are, where we have been, and where we're going. So to everyone that's been involved in that, in this particular exhibit and in this process, I want to give particular thanks, and just to the whole community, because I have to say one more time that Humboldt County sure knows how to put on a good party, and I want to thank you all very much.
I want to thank Supervisors Chesbrough and Neely for coming and sharing this with us today. And Leslie will be back in just a moment. But first, I would like to give personal thanks to the people at the Vet Center that I've worked with through this process of getting the show up. Don Jackson, Jack Jones, Marnie Waller, and a special thanks to Dan Krejci, who originally came to me with the idea. Now I'll let Dan talk to you.
Actually, I think the original idea came from Don Jackson. We had received a lot of information about the art show in the mail, and it was Don that suggested in a staff meeting that we that we go ahead and do the art show, and that was the 1st of November, and you know it's the 1st of February now, so it moved very, very quickly, and a lot has gone on in the last several months. I think the show is powerful and it's very impactful, and I hope you'll enjoy it. And I also want to acknowledge the people that are here right now that have participated, particularly Marnie Waller and Don Jackson, who organized the gala and the music portion of the show. Jack Jones, that was so involved in the food and a lot of the other details. Belle McDowell, who was real involved in the promotional activities, and Libby that helped organize the whole thing. And gosh, who am I forgetting? Mary Sukup, who was very involved in the little details and everything that went on, and a lot of other people, Don Edwards, and the whole community. I mean, we really did get a lot of support on this. It was really a joint effort on the part of a lot of people. And very much for Leslie being here. Leslie turned into a very personal friend of mine and provided me with a lot of support, particularly during one particular drive from Reading to Eureka. And so we really got to know each other. And for that, and for on behalf of California and Humboldt County Vietnam, I'm going to present you with a bouquet of flowers.
Well, we're now going to, I guess, get to the very special part of this opening, which is where the artists and the poets are recognized. I have not seen everybody that's here, which is a problem, but I'm going to kind of scan the audience here. I see Nick Weber. Come on up, Nick, please. And, let me see. I saw Joe and Don Edwards and Don Johnson, Steve Miller. Got to put the camera down, Steve.
Look through the point.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I know there are people here. Don't be shy. Just come forward so I can acknowledge your
Hi, I'm Mark. Thank you very much.
Don, I see you hiding out back there. Come on up. I see you back there.
Joey.
Joe. We're going to have an open mic here where the poets will read what they have to say, and then I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen after that, but we do have a poetry reading that will take place right now, and then please feel free to look at the art, come and speak to these lovely guys who have put this out here for you and listen to what they have to say.
I think my name is Steve Miller, and what I'd like to do is start with a couple of the vet poets that may not be as familiar to the public as my name, but have been writing since Vietnam, but never really taken the time to go out and publish. So reading here is something very difficult and brand new. I'd like each of them to read just a couple poems so that you can hear different pieces, and perhaps a little quiet, because it is difficult for somebody. When you look at a painting on the wall, you have a chance to get away from the artist. But the poet, unfortunately, only has his works, his mind, and himself up here. And that sometimes is scary. So let me first introduce Nick Weather. Nick, would you like to start off?
Hi, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to see everybody else here. I've got a confession to make here. I'm just over at the table, and I got an addiction when I was in the Army, and I want to confess now. And the addiction is coffee. I've gathered some addictions, a few along my way, and one of them is coffee, a friend who's here to stay. This dark concoction made from beans I drink with no delay. It's altered me and how I act through each and every day. I'm on the move quite early, but I just don't wake up until my body's realized it's had its 7th cup. Last night at the opening, I'm really nervous again today. I've got to give up coffee, Jack. Can you help me with that? I did a dedication. It's called Heroes on the Wall. Let's raise a glass in passing to those who slipped away. A salute to long-lost soldiers and politics gone astray. Stand, yes, proud, and give attention. This moment, no delay. Bow your head as they the dead that brought this healing day. The jagged wounds of hearts and souls cry out, let's drink to all. Those damned the few who paid the due. 'Twas they who took the fall. America, oh country grand, great defender of the small. You've made mistakes, yes, admit your fakes, but the heroes fill the wall. In an instant, caught in destiny, they died so we might see. The eyes within this room today are all alive and free. To look, to know, to bloom and grow, to live in harmony. We toast tonight eternal light, to them, to you, to we. I love starting, Steve. This is good. Here's a thing I wrote the other day.
Choose the opposite.
Not me. You know, since my return, I've been writing, and I know there's a lot of people out there that do write, and they don't show it. Whether you're a Vietnam vet or whatever it is, write it, sign it, it's yours. And share it with people. A lot of us, as poets, we've written stuff, but we haven't done enough with it. And this is my way of getting it out. And a lot of things that I write are about people, and the way this war affected people. And it wasn't just us. It's an amazing domino effect. But you know, it's like the dominoes fell silently. I think it's time to be talked about. I think we need to make some noise. And this is I wrote, it's called A Ballad for Bumper. And Bumper, in my mind, he was the guy that brought it all together. He's a veteran, and he's a truck driver. And I'm going to try, this is real emotional, so if something happens to me, throw water on me, okay? I've been driving truck a while now, since 1968. When I got back from Vietnam, the highway sounded great. Against my dad's wishes, I set off for those long roads. His life was spent on 18 wheels. He'd hauled 1,000,000 loads. Go to college, be a doctor. You'll be better off by far. The highway was my destiny. Boy, reach for a star. I needed time to think it out. How could I explain? The motion was a remedy and bound to make me sane. I was running from the jungle, still caught within my mind. This clock that ticked within me, I was sure I could unwind. At a motel south of Phoenix, I gave my mom a call. My brother had been drafted. He'd be overseas by fall. It wasn't good news. I paid those dues. He was just a kid. I faced first light so full of fright like I often did. At Christmas, I called home again. Pa sounded far away. He choked as he was speaking. Your brother's MIA. Silence filled the phone booth. I braced against my fears. I'm coming home, I whispered, fighting back my tears. Hang on to Mom, take care of her. I'll be there in a day. Thank you, son, be careful. I'll walk the fields and pray. Memphis seemed to moon away. I climbed up in the cab. That Cummings diesel wailed a song with every gear I'd grab. Brother truckers cleared away. The news was spreading fast. Dixie flags on many rigs were flying at half-mast. Cresting Lookout Mountain, I crossed Old Tennessee. A state patrolman pulled abreast. He signaled, leading me. As I neared the border, he pulled his car away, saluted as I left his road. I think of him each day. Grinding up the gravel driveway, I shut down in the yard. My dad leapt out to meet me. His soft face had gone hard. He stooped as I embraced him, shopping on my shoulder. His hair seemed strangely silver, suddenly much older. Your mother's gone, he murmured. She died in bed last night. Her heart just couldn't take it. It was too much pain to fight. We sold the farm, its memories. Pop rode along with me, hauling everything on earth from sea to shining sea. He had an emptiness I couldn't fill. Parts of him were gone. When he died beside me, his face was gold with dawn. I drive alone, the road's my home. This truck a way of life. My choice is made, I pull the great, I'll never take a wife. On my wrist there glows a bracelet. It will always stay, a name in letters deeply etched, my brother's MIA. Each family's a country, and mine will end with me. A mention lost in newsprint is all this world might see. Some might call me selfish, yet others understand. I'm diagnosed, it's Agent Orange. My parenthood is planned. No, I won't father children with less than half a chance. Babies who will never crawl, or laugh, or sing, or dance.
I have a few poems here. A lot of them are feelings that I put down on paper. And this one's entitled Night. Darkness comes and I wait. Beads of sweat run down my face as I re-enter the land of rice paddies and fallen brothers. The burning pain in my right upper arm. I scream, medic! Only to awaken in the safety of my room. This last one is entitled The Wall. I tried to say goodbye today while standing at the wall. And when I found your name, my friend, the tears began to fall. The good times, the bad times, yes, I remember most of all. And when I found your names, my friends, the tears began to fall. Thank you.
Now I'd like to bring up a friend, Don Edwards. Don?
I'd really like just to thank all of you, everybody that's responsible for this show, Leslie, and all the people at the Vet Center. I was in Vietnam 20 years ago. I left 20 years ago. The 20th of this month, I left Vietnam. And I was just reminded of a guy I met I was standing in a line there waiting to get on the plane up at SeaTac in Seattle, Washington. It was a cold, rainy night in February, and these two guys in front of me were talking. And somehow I got into a conversation with them. Turns out this guy standing in front of me, his name was Don Edwards. He was from California. My name is Don Edwards. I was from Oregon. This was on February 21st, 1969. When the wall was here, actually when it was in Santa Rosa, I went down there with a bunch of vets from the vet center, and I looked in the book of names of people on the wall, and there was Don Edwards from California. He was killed on February 23rd, 1969. And here it is 20 years later, and people are finally saying, hey, we're proud of you. You're a Vietnam vet. Thank you. We need this. And we thank you. When we were in Vietnam, there used to be a saying that said, it don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing, man. It just don't mean nothing. Because you just didn't have time to stop and feel and think and worry. You just had to keep going. You had to do what you had to do. And so I wrote this poem called Nothing. And it has to do with what I felt about war. And it goes like this. Bodies of millions, none wanting to die on a cold, lonely summer afternoon, casting no shadows as the sun passes by, a lot of future that passed by too soon. From the ocean's bottom to the endless high, the sunlight paints the picture as tomorrow's last breath leaves with a sigh. The past, not the call, moves the future. Not a bird flying in the overhead sky, many forests of crumbling trees, silent stance of the breaking waves on the shores of the poisoned seas. Dark is this cavern of the blinded eyes, no end to what isn't in sight. A tool of man's, who silenced all cries, he finally gained peace with the fight. And one other one I've written since I've been back. I wrote that one when I was in Vietnam. It's called The Difference. The difference between hot and cold is warm. The difference between positive and negative is neutral ground. The difference between where you have been and where you are going is now. And what I think we all need is a little warm, neutral ground now. Thank you.
I think I'll just be myself and one other poet, so we'll take a little bit of a breather. These aren't God Bless America poems. Though they are, but they're a little difficult. Bob McGill, would you like to read?
I was with the 3rd Marine Division at the DMZ at a fire base called Dong Ha. There had been a 155 millimeter self-propelled artillery piece that had had a breach round with 3 crewmen inside, and it blew out the bottom of the self-propelled turret in a hole about that big around through 2 inches of armored aluminum plate with about maybe 8 or 10 projectiles inside several bags of cordite. They pulled the turret on down from Camp Carroll into Dong Ha and sandbagged around it. And I did about 3 months guard duty there with an automatic M14 on the perimeter. These are my friends in the turret. My friends in the turret, Dong Ha to California, 1967 to 1984. A 155 millimeter self-propelled artillery, standing still. No iced east wind to cleave that nothing happened. Blind, foggy, short hour, morning guard tour. 1 corporal with auto rifle, and 3 Marine spirits. Our post is a Phoenix, a 155mm gun turret from an incinerated war weapon. Sit down with us for a fresh cup of tea. 2 divisions of North Viet regulars out in the fog and over the wire. But if they probe, it won't be for a few more hours. So we have lots of time, as nothing happens of Maltese Cross concern. You know, back in the world, we saw the sands of Iwo Jima, all at different times, but all at the same click house. Imagine that. All 4 of us Marines watching Duke lead us onto the beachhead. Over there, Duke got his cross. Now over here, we've been walking the same guard post, AM bunker watch together for 3 months. We have had 89 night tours. Arnie and Jason here are from Back Hills, Georgia, but Luke here is from Montana. We've talked a lot of our moms and homes too, to while away the lonely hours. Only company outside of Charlie. I noticed the inquisitive look in your eyes, but just sip some more tea. See, Luke won't pick up his bloop gun if you don't talk to him. And though Arnie and Jason are dynamite in a firefight, they won't do anything if you fail to nod in their direction now and again. But they are of a quiet type, healed people, and like respecting folk, wouldn't steal a dime. I mean, the breach was opened, and Arnie and Jason were loading, and Luke pulled the lanyard. That made them instantaneous Magenta Marines. I mean, incinerated hamburger. It was only an accident 3 months ago, and this is a lonely bunker without my friends. Here, have some more tea, before cat busting time. For they are out there over the wire, but nothing happens of Maltese Cross concern. Along the perimeter over many months, weekly, from another post, a 50-foot telephone pole sunk in the ground with a 1-inch plywood cubicle up there. And I lived up there for several months with another guy, occasionally waking up at 3 in the morning to the sound of heavy machine gun bullets smacking into timbers below you. Look out over the perimeter, and a Chinaman would bring a Vietnamese peasant girl to service every bunker along the perimeter. And I wrote a poem about her and about what changed us. Carousels dove. On a merry-go-round of war and reality, she travails the twice weekly circuit of our perimeter, displacing hand jobs and rubber ladies, this lady of the afternoon, for time is late in her day, passing a boom-boom quick time disguised as a round-eyed Kellogg's box cover girl. This man Darren's niece travels in grace of rickshaw in dog hair pine grove cemetery scenario, of silence and incense, happy smoke and camouflage. A woman of the world, not this macabre set, not of swapping spit and rubbing bones. We've always had fixed bayonets in face of passion, but we're still now only coming back home, let alone coming in our homes again. For after the Mandarin's niece, sweat and red mud, we view love's reality, looking through scarlet-stained glass. Camouflage. Ah, shit, man, look at the missile running into Bombay of loaded B-52. Where and when of Cochin China affair, the hurt of mine combat, alleviated by camouflage for the flak jacket. No safety in the knowledge. We all bleed the same color, color of steel and magnesium, all in crimson and violet. Indian Icarus doesn't fall quite heavily then, if you may have chosen camouflage for the flak jacket. Green, what is that green curing on your chest? Chorus reply, sir, is for my botany collection. $10 per pound dripping in heroin. Laotian weed stored on the plane of jars. Protection in Shiva. Call CIA for factory rebate. Vishnu, illuminate me. On a razorback, come, lay me down, let it pass, ignoring violence. A Chinese rock ape biting my neck, going green for 20 years, splitting me asunder in devilish ease. This one has been changing over a period of about 20 years. Resurrection. Children combing castaways braved in shoreline sands, sifting shards of shells the discards of hinterlands. Plundered pieces poised and appraised in lily-pewed hands, yet discarded castaways are returned to the sand. My life ne'er seen, yea, why low and moan? Wherefore these shores I've trammeled, gravid experiences were sown. These children casting away gnarled shards of shells as they plunder along the sands of their shores. Yet what fruitful seeds of experience this life to me has shown. Can't these children resurrect the shards of learning on my soul beneath the sands along this shoreline? Can't these children avoid the same mistakes to me my life has shown? May I not teach these children before the relentless tides of time flow o'er what all along I've known? Thank you.
I'd like to end this with two pieces. One that's carried me through everything that I'll end with is full of laughter and the time I think we need it. And one that I'll start with is extremely harsh. So I'll try to be a little gentle with it. I guess the thing that you need to know is a tunnel rat was just somebody that went underground when they found tunnels. Some people had training, and my respect to them because they spent a lot of time in tunnels. I was just a grunt out in the field. When they found one, I happened to be the smallest man, so I went into tunnels. This is called Caesarean, Army style, and there shows pieces in the show here that affect me deeply. The sun came up, and you were there, black hair, rubbing waist. It is a wonder I ever saw you. You and that old man you were with. Was he your father, grandfather, or just a village elder? A skinny old stock with threads hanging from his face. You were pregnant when I shoved you into the light. I was afraid when I entered the dark, took off my boots, and felt the sides. You must have been watching me even then, as I inched my way inward, till my head was swallowed by the hole. It was my job. I was small, could fit inside, explore the darkness. That is how I found you, underneath your village. We couldn't speak, so I brought you out. They were waiting, friends of mine, waiting for me to reappear, to announce what the darkness had contained. I had no choice. I showed them you. They asked you questions. You did not answer. They tied your hands behind your back. Your shoulders stretched forward to hold your belly, even as we pulled the machete out. Like Nick, I wake up with the woman I live with, and sometimes she talks in her sleep about the kid that I killed and forced the abortion through Agent Orange and wouldn't take the chance. Like others, my name's on the wall through an accident, and it touched that. My brother's had 36 major operations since Vietnam. And my folks and I, well, he made a lot of money investing in the M16. You know, but he did well. War does it. This is a poem during a nervous breakdown that I think will help all of us. It's carried me through everything. It's the only poem that I kept out of everything I wrote in Vietnam. And I think you'll enjoy it. Could be called Two Mad Women, but it is called Two Mad Men. You came in the depths of night when sleep claimed my body and I was naked. and with a high, pure laughter of the insane, he took my hand, and I could do naught but follow, so captured by the music and his voice was on it. Through ions of infinity we traveled, till finally we reached a place, till finally we came to a place called emptiness. Stopping here, he handed me a shovel, and with much laughter said, "Dig." I turned, asking why, for my eyes beheld nothing. And again he said, "Dig." For an eternity, I flung shovelfuls of nothing into emptiness, till suddenly I ran, for I was afraid. Reaching out, his hand grabbed mine, pulling me back, saying, "What makes you run so? Have you never seen yourself? Has it been cast in emptiness and covered with nothing for so long that you can no longer recognize it?" Crying yes, I fell, for no longer would life have me. And again he spoke. "Why do you hide behind piles of nothing and exist only in emptiness? Why is it that above all, man fears his self?" And then slowly we turned till we faced that self. No, not a word did he utter, nor a single movement could I detect. I felt a great laughter welling up from within, and as one, we threw the shovel aside. Thank you, and thanks for the poets again.
As you can tell, this is very emotional stuff. I think everybody needs to take a couple of deep breaths and maybe get a little space here. I wanted to ask you all to go by when you're through here and you're finished with the show and on your way out, to go by the counter and take a look at some of the things that are there. We need all kinds of support to continue doing this work. And one of the kinds of support we need are financial support. So if you're able to contribute anything, there's a donation box, there's some bumper stickers, there's some t-shirts, and there's some posters. And if you feel moved to help us do things like this, to help your Arts Council be able to present things like this, and to help shows like Healing the Wounds continue to travel, please remember us on your way out. And that's the commercial plug. Grab a bite to eat, look around, and thank you very much for being here.